What if Deku married Lady Nagant? It's a wild idea that has sparked the imagination of many fans. Imagine the power couple they would make, with Deku's unwavering determination and Lady Nagant's sharpshooting skills. Their wedding would surely be a sight to behold, with heroes and villains alike in attendance. But what would their life together look like? Would Deku be able to handle Lady Nagant's mysterious past? And could Lady Nagant find happiness and redemption in the arms of the symbol of peace? One thing's for sure, their love story would be unlike any other in the world of My Hero Academia. So, what do you think? Would you ship Deku and Lady Nagant? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more My Hero Academia content.
Fighting, so I called them imaginary moves, because, I imagined them on the spot. The black-haired boy giggled. You already have 3 fucking super moves and we're not even in UA yet and you made them on the fucking spot. Blah, you have 4 years to train before we reach UA, you have a lot of time to make super moves. Izuku shrugged. True. The blonde nodded. The next few weeks passed by like a blur for Izuku. Nothing much changed except the fact that he noticed himself interacting with the 2 girls more often, ranging from waves, sharing books, resting near the same spot, to having long chats in break times. Katsuki just let the 2 extras enter Izuku's orbit. He did feel like the insanity that was his best friend would somehow become more wacky, and this was a perfect reason to make his mother back off from nagging about him having no friends besides Izuku. See, hag. I ain't a fucker that's hopeless on getting friends. The blonde yelled in his thoughts before he noticed the 3 interacting. Izuku was laughing over nothing, Kainai had a happy expression on her face, and Kanako just looked, well, neutral. They were all talking, probably sharing jokes. Hoi, Izuku, stop talking with your girlfriends and get over here already. Katsuki rolled his eyes, watching Kainai and Kanako both pause at his words. Ha! Kainai looked flustered. Fuck off, Pomeranian Kuan. Kanako scoffed. Izuku just chuckled. Fine, I'm coming. He sighed, waving at the 2 girls as he followed Katsuki and walked away, disappearing once he went to a corner. Kanako hummed and narrowed her eyes. Kaina-chan, something about Midoriya feels familiar. She muttered. Ha? Kainai raised a brow and looked at her best friend. How come? The indigo-haired girl asked. Dunno, just felt like I saw his face somewhere before, Kanako sighed. Whatever, forget about it, wanna get some food? I'm feelin' hungry. She turned to Kainai who nodded and began to follow her. Kainai tilted her head as she twirled strands of her hair around her finger. Well, Midoriya-san does have a plain face, she commented. A plain face? Kanako glanced over her shoulder and looked at Kainai. Please, we could easily spot him out of 100 people. She rolled her eyes before she focused back on the path ahead. His weird-ass outfit alone makes him stand out already. A chibi version of Izuku appeared in Kainai's mind, one that still wore the original boy's eccentric outfit. Straitjacket, dark blue jeans, and straw sandals. The straitjacket alone was eccentric enough. It also initially painted Izuku as a psycho who escaped the mental hospital and still attended their school for both girls, though the boys, and his blonde friend, later actions during the sludge villain incident and their recent interactions proved otherwise. Izuku, despite his eccentric antics, is a good-natured person with, questionably, good morals. A tall, skinny man sighed as steam billowed around him. His eyes were sunken, covered in shadows, though his bright blue irises can still be seen. Shit, the man cursed in English. I'm running out of time, I really need to find a successor soon, huh? He muttered before coughing. Toshinori Yagi, the true face behind All Might. He is the complete opposite of the heroic man in terms of personality. He did not look healthy or muscular, he looked sick. The man essentially looked like a skeleton, one that would fall on itself from a weak breeze. Toshinori sighed as he looked at his hands. All Might can still keep appearing for another decade, but I'll surely become weaker by that time. I need to pass this quirk to make sure the next generation will have its own symbol of peace. He took a deep breath before letting his hands fall back to his sides. Though, the blonde glanced at the city. I'm sure that the new generation will keep the peace, even if I'm gone. He nodded. Toshinori looked around and spotted a vending machine nearby. People might think that it's odd having one on a rooftop, but it's convenient for heroes who want to sometimes stop for a short break and maybe get refreshments, which is what Toshinori is currently doing. The man watched as the machine dispensed water and happily took the bottle before twisting the cap open. I wonder how's Melissa right now, he muttered before drinking the bottle's contents. After that, Toshinori chuckled. Maybe I should call her later, I haven't talked to her in a month now, he added, remembering his niece's excited expression whenever he appears as All Might. Maybe I could ask her, Toshinori paused. If she fits the criteria, then maybe I could, he mumbled before nodding. I guess I'll go on a trip to Island. With no more words, Toshinori inflated back to his iconic form. Now empowered once again by One for All, he smiled wide. Boom! Ha ha ha! All Might laughed before he jumped off the building, leaving strong gusts of wind in his wake. Now, cats, did I snort some salt again or did I really see some stick figure turn into All Might like the Hulk? Izuku asked as he stared at a nearby building with narrowed eyes. You didn't see shit, dumbass, now help me out with this shitty claw machine. Katsuki grunted, fully focused on the money-robbing machine as he pushed in another coin to get another round. He will get that plushie, no matter how long it takes. It was a bootleg All Might plushie that looked funny to Katsuki, and he was bored. So, Izuku-kun. Nedzu grabbed a cup of tea from the table. I've finalized some things with the Prime Minister according to your status of becoming a supernova. He smiled, watching the boy take a seat in front of him. See bonus chapter 1 for context of what a supernova is. Cool. What now then? Izuku tilted his head with curiosity. Nedzu raised his paw. The man agreed, though due to your power he will be putting down rules that you have to follow until you truly gain the title of supernova. Though whatever the hell Nedzu should be said, watching the boy seemingly and comically deflate from his words. Worry not, he chuckled. The rules are pretty simple. The bear then took a sip from his cup before handing Izuku a paper filled with words. Just focus on these, you can have Inko-san drill in the details later. He smiled. Izuku hummed as he grabbed the paper and read the rules. Izuku Midoriya must not activate his quirk's transformation unless given direct permission from Nedzu or an approved pro-hero of the principal's choice. No loopholes must be used, otherwise Izuku Midoriya will be sentenced to death. He can activate his transformation if the situation proves to be dire enough that it is life-threatening to him. Izuku Midoriya must continue hiding his quirk's true capabilities. He will only be allowed to tell others that the quirk freedom allows him to manipulate his body, though only limited to being rubbery. Oh, that's not bad actually, reasonable too, I guess. Izuku muttered, though he still felt annoyed that he can't legally use his quirk's transformation unless given permission or in a really bad situation. His heart also beat slowly, as if sympathizing with his annoyance. Those were the main rules. Like I said, you can have Inko-san drill the rest of the rules later. Nedzu nodded, taking another sip of tea from the cup. Could use a bit more sugar. He commented. Izuku just nodded and sighed, noticing the 3 more papers that Nedzu placed on the table. He could already dread the 10 long hours of his mother repeating the contents to make him actually remember things. The boy is forgetful, barely remembering whatever he learned in school, yet somehow, he still can show intelligence. Life really does work in mysterious ways, that or it's due to the fact logic barely exists around Izuku. Izuku grew up loving the word that is associated with his quirk, freedom. Just saying it felt good, made Izuku's heart beat louder while still following that funny rhythm that activated the mentioned quirk. The feeling of freedom is something Izuku really loved. Seeing a child covered in bandages and hollow eyes made Izuku frown. His heart beat loudly. It wanted to give this child freedom. Seeing her flinch and begin to quiver in fear at the sight of a man wearing a weird beak mask made Izuku not happy at all. His heart beat loudly. It wanted to give this child justice. And when the man roared in frustration and slammed his palm against the ground before it shattered and reformed into a spike heading to Izuku's way, Izuku grinned, feeling his heart begin to beat loudly to that funny rhythm. Eri grew up thinking of herself as a curse ever since she could properly think and speak. Everyone said so, the beak man said so. It was her own fault that her parents disappeared after all. She's a monster. And yet, every night she remembered someone's words. Wait for the white warrior, the one who will liberate us all. Hear the boys laugh, the sound of his drums, as he vanishes darkness and fills us all with light and joy. He will smile at all the world's problems and cure the ills of humanity by playing his drum. Whoever hears his music is forced to dance and sing until they cast off their black veil of despair. We wait for the joy that the boy, Nika, brings to us. Eri, despite her imagination being poor, thought of the white warrior as someone covered in white, has a big smile, and a laugh that can be heard across everywhere. The white warrior, though he never had any specific facial features besides his grin, always visited Eri in her dreams, always telling her the same words, giving her enough hope to keep on going despite her horrible circumstances. For the first time in her life, Eri looked amazed as she watched the tall boy she ran into while trying to escape become the very white warrior she has been dreaming about for a year. Her heart felt funny. Doom-dut-da-day. 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 Izuku laughed loudly, as if he was told the greatest joke in the world as he spun in the air, momentarily turning into a white tornado. Hi-ha-ha-hee-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. If anything, Izuku dying from laughter would be the most likely reason why he would ever be killed. His heart beat loudly and sounded like drums. Kaichisaki, otherwise known as Overhaul, looked frustrated, confused, and angry as he watched whatever the fuck was that thing fly around with its limbs swinging in all directions. What the hell are you? Chisaki cried out and watched Izuku suddenly drop back down to the ground. The ground rippled like rubber before it bounced the boy back in the air. What kind of disease does this shit? The man added, looking around frantically before he slapped both of his hands against the ground and activated his quirk. Wouldn't you like to know, bird boy? Hi-ya-ha-hee-hee-ya. Izuku just cackled at Chisaki's frustration before he screamed, seeing the dozens of massive spikes heading towards him. E-E-H-H-H-H-H-H. Izuku reacted comically, his body straightening like a ruler before his tongue shot out with his eyeballs popping out from its sockets as an over-exaggeration to his shock. Ay-ya-ya-yo-ya. He quickly reached for his eyeballs and pulled them back into their places before he began to spin violently and became a white tornado. Whoosh! The tornado then flew forward, swiftly dodging the growing spikes coming from the ground. Chisaki sweated and gritted his teeth as he activated his quirk several times, creating more spikes. In all of his life, he never encountered a quirk like this. Nobody did either, as nobody had a quirk like freedom. Chisaki saw the approaching tornado and scowled. What kind of sickness do you have, you damn brat? He slapped the floor and caused a massive pillar to erect and collide against the incoming boy. The man's eyes widened as the pillar quickly crumbled from the sheer speed that Izuku was spinning at. That won't work on me. Izuku smirked as he stopped spinning. His expression slowly turned from smug to dizzy. Dia izzy. The boy mumbled, sounding drunk as his eyes rolled, quickly turning into comical spirals. Chisaki grunted and began to run forward. Just one touch, and this boy will be dead. Chisaki angrily thought to himself before he jumped forward and slammed his hand against the floor, causing a new pillar to be erected and act as a platform to carry him forward to Izuku. Katsuki, on the sidelines, just snorted. He knew that walks at the ass crack of dawn never end up normal, but not to this extent. He watched as Izuku fought a big-shot villain, the boy's outrageous goofiness contrasting to the sheer destruction that the opposing force is demonstrating while he's just here taking care of some brat. He promised that he wouldn't be the one watching next time a villain attacks them, but for now, he has a job to do. Come on, kid, we gotta go before the idiot starts going wild and pulls the damn sky down on us. Katsuki urged, quickly scooping up Eri from the ground and running away. The girl just watched the ongoing fight with awe, her eyes wide as plates as she watched the white boy laugh loudly and bounce off the buildings like rubber. The loud sounds of a drum are still heard, still following a rhythm. Doom-dut-da-day. 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 Bang! White warrior, Naka. Eri mumbled and watched in awe as Izuku comically winded up a punch before socking Chisaki right in the face, causing the man to fly away and land against the building behind him with an audible crash heard throughout the streets. Ya ha 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 ha. Izuku laughed like a madman, slapping a hand against his forehead as his legs kicked around. Katsuki just looked mildly amused but mostly annoyed. Where the hell are the heroes and why haven't they responded to this yet? I swear this should already be on the news or some sh. He huffed, remembering Eri's presence at the last second. As if God answered Katsuki's question, the reporters finally appeared along with the heroes. Instead of doing anything though, they just watched in disbelief as Chisaki and Izuku fought. The villain already recovered from the boy's previous attack and was just aggressively turning anything around him into spikes to attack Izuku, who only laughed and flew around them, dodging with grace, ease, and a little bit of silliness. What the fuck are we looking at? One of the heroes asked, only for another to shrug. Katsuki watched as the heroes stood by looking shocked or confused while the reporters, described the absurd situation as best as they could. Aren't you guys supposed to be evacuating any remaining people here? One of the reporters that had common sense asked the heroes with a judgmental tone. The heroes snapped out of their shock as they all nodded and got to work. The heroes and reporters aren't the only ones who appeared though. How? Who are you guys supposed to be? Izuku's laughing stopped as he spotted different people, ones that his heart could tell weren't heroes. They were all wearing some sort of strange masks, mostly resembling a bird or a beak. What took you all so long? Chisaki asked before he coughed. Hari Kuruno nodded. Sorry, we only heard about and saw the situation just now thanks to the live streams and news. Chisaki huffed at Kuruno's reason. Whatever, just kill that damn brat. He ordered, pointing at the flying Izuku in the air who was looking at them with excitement. So he's the kiddo that was throwing you all over the damn place, Kendo Rappa muttered before he chuckled and pumped his fists. He always wanted to fight strong people, and knowing that Overhaul is being easily swatted around by a kid sounded interesting for a hot-blooded fighter like him. Shut up! Chisaki snapped. Everyone except Kendo and Rikiya either distract the damn heroes or get Eri back at all costs. She's being taken away by some kid with an explosion quirk, he's a blonde, go. He angrily instructed as Rikiya leapt forward, choosing to attack first. Izuku's eyes widened at the man running towards him. You're huge. His eyes gained comical stars while Rikiya grunted and managed to grab Izuku's leg. Uowooahhhh. Immediately, Rikiya pulled Izuku down and slammed him against the ground, only for the ground to react like rubber and bounce, with an audible boing, from the impact. Rikiya was stunned for a second before he quickly tossed Izuku away, sending him flying until he began to skid against the ground, quickly turning into a comical ball as soon as he began to roll. He screamed, his body turning into a mess of limbs, eyes, mouth, and white as he spun. Izuku opened his eyes, hearing the wind whistle as comical noises followed, ranging from bells to bonks to bangs as he saw himself rolling across the road. Wait. Izuku's arms quickly stretched to let his hands reach two street lights next to him. The poles bent like rubber, but after 5 seconds he managed to stop violently spinning and plant his feet on the ground. The boy looked around and let go of the streetlights, letting his arms snap back to their original lengths before he grinned after he saw Rikiya running forward like a gorilla. Ha! I have an idea, he muttered. Imaginary move, muscles. Yahahaha. Izuku laughed as he jumped up and flexed before his arms and chest instantly inflated, changing his previously noodly body to gain comical muscles. His legs remained the same in size though, emphasizing the comical appearance of his muscle form. Bang! 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 Jaya! Izuku jumped forward with the ground bouncing behind him and punched the surprised Rikiya 3 times with his fists enlarging before it struck. Izuku's eyes widened as he saw cartoony stars fly around Rikiya's head before he swung his right arm, had it spin for a second before landing one final blow to end his short-lived barrage. Gong! A comical sound similar to a bell was heard throughout the battlefield as Rikiya was thrown back from the impact, sending him crashing next to Chisaki, who watched it all with wide eyes. Kendo though was ecstatic seeing how easy Rikiya was sent away by 4 blows. Ha ha! You're a damn riot! The man laughed as he jumped forward into battle, taking over Rikiya's place as Izuku just continued laughing to himself. Hey, kid! Kendo called, making Izuku stop as the boy kept his muscle form. Let's fight, he asked, sounding too excited for a situation that is making his boss almost have an aneurysm. Izuku tilted his head curiously at the new enemy before he smirked. Who? Sure, that sounds fun. He nodded, his curious expression long gone and replaced by an excited one. His emerald eyes shone and briefly turned into red before it returned back to normal. That's what I'm talking about. Kendo's mask tore apart, his own smirk being too wide for the mask to contain as he rushed forward. Ngra! He roared before he threw both of his fists forward, only for Izuku to catch them both. Kendo grunted and activated his quirk strongarm, making his shoulders begin to rotate and move at extreme speeds, enough to make Izuku let go and let Kendo to start sending out a flurry of punches. Bang! 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 GWABUGABHGUH. Izuku did react to his enemy's hits like expected, but his current proportions despite being pure air somehow absorbed the strikes, much to Kendo's surprise. What kind of damn quirk does this kid have? The hot-blooded man thought to himself before his quirk deactivated. Izuku quickly threw both of his fists forward, only for Kendo to catch them both and firmly hold them. Both looked at each other before they grinned as they began to push against each other. Kendo took a step forward and watched as Izuku grunted. The boy's legs literally compressed due to the pressure, but he seemed to not notice it as they continued to push against each other. Soon, the ground cracked from the pressure of their strength, but before Izuku could react. Bang! Kendo's knee struck his guts, making him gasp. Visible air burst from Izuku's mouth before he was sent flying to the air by the sheer force of air spewing out of his mouth, though he laughed. Whoa, ha 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 ha. Izuku flew all around in the air as he spun, performing wild cartwheels while he flew with his limbs stretching and lashing out at anything near him. The fuck? Kendo watched, his eyes widening at the comical sight before he saw Izuku's arms stretch towards the ground and grabbed it. Imaginary move, counterblow. Izuku grinned, his eyes shined for a moment before he pulled and brought the rubberized ground over his head and then downwards towards Kendo. The ground turned into an archway, much to Kendo's shock before Izuku snickered and began to ricochet all over inside it. Ah fuck! Kendo uttered before he saw Izuku fly towards him at Mach 10. Blowing! Comical stars shot out as soon as Izuku's fist struck Kendo right in the face, and thanks to his momentum, he sent the man flying across the city, crashing through 10 buildings before he finally began to slowly stop. It was a miracle that Kendo wasn't reduced to a mere red smear when his body began to drag itself against the ground. Hee ha 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 ha. Izuku just laughed as his stretched arms snapped back to place with a resounding smack. Chisaki looked like he was having an aneurysm. Overhaul versus a new hero? Nedzu muttered as he checked on the livestream of what seems to be Overhaul, having his ass and backup handed in a silver platter. No, that person, he's not listed as a hero in the listings. He observed the strange unknown's appearance. Tall, lanky, noodly, and mainly white in color. White hair that seems to naturally billow like a cloud while resembling fire, solid clouds around the neck, and an odd quirk. The unknown being looked like he was out of place, with the thick black outlines around his body making them look like they appeared from a cartoon. What an interesting quirk. Nezu smiled at the new puzzle in front of him. Though, Nezu quickly frowned. A quirk too interesting for the HPSC to pass up. He added before carefully getting off his seat. Now where did I put it? The stoat-thing muttered to himself as he searched the drawers in his office. Let's see, he took out a folder from one of the drawers and opened it, gently blowing off the dust that it released before he sighed. There you are, Nezu smirked. See, there are actually 4 different types of heroes out there, each with their own skill sets and privileges. Type 1s, aka enforcers, are the variety the majority of people are most familiar with. They work with law enforcement to apprehend criminals, are the most common seen for press releases, etc. Type 2s, or strategists, are heroes like Nezu himself. They focus more on intelligence and analysis, taking in information and sorting it out before relaying the most pertinent intel to the enforcers, though we do fight from time to time. Type 3s, otherwise known as fortifiers, are the heroes like Recovery Girl, who don't do any form of combat but still support and help from the sidelines. Type 4s, or simply known as backups, are heroes with quirks that are best used when working with other people while still out on the field. Think of them as a subtype for Type 3 heroes. One of those heroes could provide a significant strength boost, though his quirk requires 5 people for it to activate, needing them to work on the field rather than stay inside a safe spot. And finally, Type 5s, otherwise called supernovas, the name certainly sticked out from the rest, yes, but the person who named it was quite eccentric, are people with a license to use their quirks however they want as long as it's for good purposes or actions that don't affect anyone and that they do not associate with any villains or commit any crime, otherwise a death penalty and a worldwide manhunt would be started against them. There are no supernovas in this era, the last one was from the second quirk generation, and that man died long ago. They are not legally required to help like other heroes or unless the situation is truly dire enough that they need the nuclear option. I'd never thought that I would be given the honor to be in an era where there is a supernova. Nezu smiled as he took out the necessary paperwork and went out of his office. Now, let's just hope that the boy will accept my offer or at least think about it. The principal of UA University hummed, walking through the empty halls of his school. Overhaul is fine. He is not scared. No, he is in fact fine. Perfectly fine, calm, composed, collected, and etc. No, he is not at all horrified by the sight of that fucking demon laughing and making the ground bounce like rubber with whatever bullshit disease he has. That thing is not human, it didn't look it wasn't human, not to overhaul at least. To be fair, Izuku's body had lost most of its details, only keeping the important ones so right now he looked like a doodle, something drawn from another world, not this world. He'd perfectly fit in those ancient cartoons Chisaki's great, and more greats, Grandpa used to watch. He wanted it gone, more than germs. Chisaki huffed and looked to the side, to see Rikiya filled with energy, causing his muscles to bulk up almost 10 times thanks to the crowd of heroes nearby. Rikiya had bulked up enough to make All Might look like a pool noodle in comparison. Rikiya! He breathed out as Rikiya looked at his leader. Come here. He ordered. Rikiya nodded and followed without any questions. Once Rikiya was close enough, Chisaki quickly grabbed his shoulder and narrowed his eyes. Crush! Izuku's eyes slowly widened to comical proportions as he watched Chisaki and Rikiya's shadow melt into one before it began to grow. It didn't stop, and only continued to grow as the two bodies fused, with the excess energy Rikiya had collected somehow siphoning into his muscles and making them grow further until his skin wasn't able to cover itself anymore. Eheeya! Izuku's eyes popped out from their sockets, leaving 2 copies behind as his jaw stretched down to the ground with his tongue shooting out. Boom! 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 Now, Izuku was not facing against a person, he's facing against a fucking kaiju. Woohoo! The boy screamed as the gigantic monstrous amalgam of flesh roared. The upper half of Chisaki's body is left exposed, showing him to be connected to the kaiju inside its mouth, or beak. The beast was taller than 8-story buildings, with its arms being bigger, making Izuku look like a white dot in comparison. With another roar, the many arms and hands of the kaiju began to lash out everywhere, causing further collateral damage. Izuku's eyes returned to their sockets as he grabbed his tongue and stuffed it back into his mouth before he quickly turned around. Squee. Izuku's legs began to spin before it quickly turned into white spirals. Izuku laughed as his legs ran forward at ludicrous speeds. He was going fast enough that his upper body began to flail, yet the smile on his face didn't leave. Die! Shisaki's distorted voice roared with the kaiju as it began to chase Izuku, with its bigger arms crushing the other buildings on its path. Boom! A fist came down, almost striking Izuku, who dodged last second and was sent flying up in the air due to impact. I have. Izuku yelled as he shot up in the air, going past the sky until he finally lost momentum. He looked down and chuckled. I could see my house from up here, the boy commented before looking around and grinning. He took a deep breath and bit his thumb. The heroes, reporters, and the millions that were watching through the reporter's livestream all collectively paused as they looked up at the cloudy sky. I am he. What in the name of the 50 states of America? They would have cared or cheered for all my finally arriving, but he also paused to look up at the sky. The sky had a humanoid silhouette, one too colossal for their eyes to believe. Imaginary move, giant. The voice of the boy from earlier was heard, though now it had echoes and sounded booming, deep, as if it was a deity who spoke. The witnesses to this ridiculous, dragged-out fight that the author doesn't want to drag further watched as a gigantic foot split the thick clouds apart before the rest of the body followed. A colossal version of Izuku appeared. Boom! The last thing Overhaul saw was the color white and a wide grin. They all called the entire fight the Overhaul incident, where an unknown hero took down the entirety of the Shai Hasaikai and the notorious S-rank villain Overhaul and his partners. The unknown hero turned out to be a boy, Izuku Midoriya, who just acted in self-defense, as according to his words that fuckus Birdbrain tried to kill me when I was saving this small girl, Eri. Which was proven true. This bit of information is not revealed to the public for privacy, of course. Although the boy's identity is not revealed to the public, they all still cheered and hoped that he becomes a hero once he grows up. He basically is one already. Overhaul is currently facing his trial for his countless amounts of crimes, with the rest of his members still waiting on their respective pending trial for their own crimes. Izuku's parents were called in as soon as Izuku came into the nearest station. Their reactions were mixed. You're just 14 and you're already out here talking down some high-ranking villain and his group. I'm proud of you, my boy. Hisashi guffawed through the video call as he slapped his table. He used another monitor to view a video of the whole fight. Izuku just smiled, though he still looked exhausted. Izuku. Why did you fight a big villain like that? Inko wailed in worry as she cried a river. Literally, she's flooding the entire fucking station. God bless Midoriya. Izuku scratched his cheek. Sorry ma, the dude did attack first though, and he was taking a kid hostage, so my heart just, did its thing. Izuku apologized. He really couldn't force himself out if his heart was telling him to fight after all. Speaking of, where's the kid you just saved? Hisashi asked after he finished laughing at watching Overhaul's kaiju form get easily and comically squashed with a gigantic Izuku stepping on the red beast for the 10th time. Izuku glanced down, seeing Eri, who was latching onto him tightly. She's here. She doesn't seem to want to let go, so I just let her. Izuku watched as his mom moved the phone to let Hisashi see Eri. The Dragon Man frowned. Hisashi was told that Eri was just barely 5 years old, but she looked malnourished, and the awful and obviously concerning amount of bandages around her limbs made him internally rage. She could pass off as your little sister if she's compared to your white persona. Her hair is white, though a bit bluish, but her eyes are the same unless someone takes a really close look. Inko commented, idly thinking about her son's transformed state. Hisashi agreed, looking at his wife as he did so. Say, does Eri really not want to let go of you? The Dragon Man asked. Yep, she'd pretty much turn into an unresponsive statue if I let go. Izuku nodded with a frown. Just how much did Eri suffer that she immediately clung to him like some sort of safety object when he really just fought some dumbass bird brain? The Midoriya family heard the door open as Inko and Izuku turned to see Detective Naomasa Tsukachi enter the room. "Good morning," he offered, giving the family a small bow as Inko returned the gesture. "I'd like to start by saying thank you for handling the Shy Hasakai. We've been trying to find where their exact hideout and whereabouts are for the past year now, and well, despite the destructive fight that occurred, know that none of it was your fault." Tsukachi started before he took a seat behind the desk. "Out of legality in the situation, I'm obliged to inform you three that my quirk is true or false. Whenever I ask a question, I'll know if your answer is true or false." Tsukachi waited for all of them to nod before he continued. "Now, all of my questions would be pretty basic to keep this short, so just answer honestly." He then turned to Izuku, who nodded again. "Did you start the fight?" "Nope." "Truth. Can you explain what happened before you encountered and fought Overhaul?" Well, I was walking with wait, no nicknames, Katsuki Bakugo down the street, and when he and I entered an alleyway we found Eri. She looked, well, homeless, and had a concerning amount of bandages, so we approached her, thinking we should help her out since Katsuki wanted to be a hero, and while I just like Sevan people, not be a hero though." Izuku paused to open a water bottle and drink from it. He still felt exhausted after that 2-hour-long fight. It's the longest he had used his transformation while repeatedly using some of his abilities after all. The quirk does eat up all of his calories after all, using his transformation tripled the rate. And then Bird Guy showed up. "Overhaul?" Tsukachi tapped his pen. Izuku nodded. "Yeah, Overhaul showed up and well, he just really reeked bad guy energy, you know? Like you can tell the guy is either carrying something that nobody would like in their body or just, threatening. Especially with his plague mask, that really just tickles the gut feeling of a guy with common sense. So when the guy began to talk about being Eri's dad and everything while sounding like he's calling a pet over, my heart, did its thing." Tsukachi raised a brow at Izuku's last words. "Your heart did its thing?" "Yeah, sometimes it just jumpstarts me into white persona, what I call my quirk's transformation thing. I'm still trying to find a better name, but anyways, whenever it really wants to save someone." "Alright, continue." "Okay, where was I? Alright, so my heart did its thing, and when I was done transforming the guy was already an inch away from touching my face. Yup, if my heart didn't force me into white persona then I would have been gone, reduced to dust." Izuku nodded and took another sip from the water bottle. "I trusted Katsuki to take Eri away while I handled this guy, and so started the fight." "Is that all?" Tsukachi stopped writing. "Yup." "All right. None were false, so we're going to the next questions now. At any point, did you try to purposely hurt civilians or nearby heroes?" "Nah, wait, when I was making the ground bounce I'm pretty sure some of the heroes tripped over themselves. That was funny, but I didn't mean to do that though." "True, now did you intentionally traumatize Overhaul?" Somewhere far away, Chisaki's eyes darted everywhere as he rapidly took heavy breaths. "Everything is white, why is it white?" He did not like white. "Why is it everywhere? He thought that fucking demon is far away, why is it staring at him? Where is he? Where is it? Why is it laughing? How can he hear it laughing? Why isn't somebody taking the demon far away from him? Why doesn't it leave him? Why is it watching him? I can't breathe, I am drowning, leave me alone, stop, why are you following me, help me, stop it, I hate you, leave, where am I, stop watching, smile, why are you laughing, where is grandpa disease, where is Imoan, what are you, smile, why can't I breathe, I can't feel anything, why can't I use my blessing, white, who are you, red eyes, why are you smiling, are you following me, where is Imoan, leave me alone, stop, help me, I am drowning, stop listening, where is grandpa disease, what are you, you're not human, I can't move, why am I here, disease, where is everyone, help me, Eri, what, I can't breathe, I am drowning, leave me alone, stop, why are you following me, help me, stop it, I hate you, leave, where am I, stop watching, smile, why are you laughing, where is grandpa, where is Imoan, what are you, smile, why can't I breathe, I can't feel anything, why can't I use my blessing, white, Eri, who are you, red eyes, why are you smiling, are you following me, where is Imoan, leave me alone, stop, help me, I am drowning, stop listening, where is grandpa, what are you, you're not human, I can't move, why am I here, where is everyone, help me, white, I can't breathe, I am drowning, leave me alone, Eri. Stop, why are you following me? Help me, stop it, I hate you, leave, where am I? Stop watching, smile, why are you laughing? Where is grandpa? Disease, where is Moan? What are you? Smile, why can't I breathe? I can't feel anything, why can't I use my blessing? White, who are you? Red eyes, why are you smiling? Are you following me? Where is Mom? Leave me alone, stop, help me, I am drowning, stop listening, where is grandpa? What are you? You're not human, I can't move, why am I here? Where is everyone? Help me. White. Nope. Izuku shook his head. Overhaul is fine, probably, he didn't beat up the guy that much, right? True. That's all of the questions I need for now. I'll contact you, Mr. and Mrs. Midoriya, later if I need to inquire further. Tsukachi nodded and bowed. Though, there is someone that wants to speak with all three of you, he added. The three Midoriyas watched as the detective opened the door to let a creature wearing a suit in. Hisashi's skeptical expression turned into a surprised one. Greetings. Am I a bear? A dog? A mouse? Who knows? But I am the principal of UA University. Nedzu. Hello. The most likely Astote introduced himself cheerfully. He seemed eccentric. Long time no see, Nedzu. Hisashi chuckled, puffs of smoke coming out of his nostrils as he did so. Good morning. Inko offered. Izuku looked at Nedzu and his parents with confusion. Mom? Dad? You know the principal of UA? The boy asked, looking bewildered. Nedzu laughed at Izuku's question. Of course. I was there stopping your father from bursting into tears when he and your mother got married after all. The principal sighed fondly over the memory. Hisashi smiled, looking nostalgic at the mention of his marriage. Ah. Izuku nodded in response. So, I'm assuming your main interest is with my son, right? Hisashi asked as Nedzu nodded. Exactly, how I haven't really noticed the boy's quirk is a true mystery. Maybe some people didn't want me to find out and covered it up. Nedzu huffed. HPSC. Hisashi sounded bitter, his expression showing grimace. Though, that was before he remembered Dr. Hiralik. The man was proven trustworthy after Hisashi confronted him after his boy's diagnosement almost 10 years ago. Worry not, my friend, a good doctor just omitted parts of Izuku's quirk for his safety. Hisashi sighed. Oh. That clears some stuff then. The bear thing nodded and smiled. That fortunately meant the HPSC didn't know either. Anyways, I'm mainly here to ask around young Izuku's choice of career. He then turned to Izuku, who blinked in surprise. Oh, well, I was planning on applying to UA for general studies. Izuku shrugged after responding. Nedzu looked surprised. Really? Really? Nedzu hummed. Interesting, isn't your quirk perfect for heroism though? The stoat? Asked, genuinely interested over Izuku's choice. Yeah, I guess it is, but I had mom drill in the conditions and rules if I were to become a hero, and I think it's too many rules, enough to just make getting a license kind of not worth it, you know? Still considering it though, Izuku nodded. It wasn't that he really did not want to be one, he's just not really sure yet, so he's settling with the idea of general studies to have the chance to transfer into the hero course in one sports festival. May I ask what rules made you not want to be a hero? Nedzu tilted his head. Well, you know how my quirk just turns everything into becoming rubbery? Yes, I'm quite aware of its true capabilities too. Nedzu nodded, making Izuku gasp before he remembered that the rat is the principal of UA, one of the best universities for heroes out there. Well, it would make people think that I'm causing more property damage than the villains, thus becoming infamous. I don't want to deal with people hounding me. Then, I would have to severely limit my power, which is just, I want to use my own power without any limits or anything. Izuku explained. But here's the thing, young man, I'm not here to ask you to become a Type 1 hero. Instead, I'm here to ask you to become a Type 5 hero. Nedzu chuckled. Inko and Izuku looked fairly confused, while Hisashi looked surprised. What's the difference? Heroes are heroes, right? Izuku wondered. Nezu smiled at the boy's words. That is true, though all of the heroes belong to specific groups. Nezu nodded. We have the Type 1 heroes, the ones people usually know, like All Might for example. Then, the Type 2 heroes, the brains of big operations. I'm under that class. The Type 3 heroes, who support the main ones in the sidelines like Recovery Girl. The Type 4 heroes are retired ones, given choice on whether or not they should act on a situation. Nezu paused, letting the info sink in before he continued. And now we have the Type 5 heroes, the supernovas, people that wield quirks that the government can't have any control over. You, young Midoriya, fall under that class, or at least potentially fall under it should you take my offer. Nezu smiled. Your offer? Izuku looked with curiosity. Should you attend UA and accept the task and role to become a supernova, you'll become the freest man. Though, I do have to warn you, the moment you use your status as a supernova for less than good reasons, then we'll have to send out a global manhunt against you. Nezu explained. A global manhunt? Inko shrieked, almost fainting from the thought of Izuku fighting a battalion of heroes without anyone to help him. Hisashi just chuckled. I'm sure that Izuku won't have problems dealing with all of them should it somehow come to that. Hisashi confidently said before he looked at Izuku. And I know that you would never do anything considered villainous. He added. Wait, what exactly would happen to Izuku if he does apply for becoming a Type 5 hero? Inko asked with obvious worry. Well, the boy would attend the hero course and the events or trips that are planned for the next 5 years, but he would be given different lessons, mostly in control, as we all know that the boy does not need any more power than he already has. Nezu sighed before he sat on a chair. Hisashi hummed. I say go for it, kiddo. You're already one too many with the amount of cats you rescued from trees and grannies you helped cross the streets. He nodded and chuckled before leaning back into his chair. Inko sighed, unconsciously using her quirk to pull a razor which unintentionally scared Nezu. Yeah, you were going to UA anyways, right, Izu? Inko nodded. Nezu quietly breathed out a sigh of relief as soon as the razor was put back to place. He did not like having the name Inko Midoriya and the word razor in one sentence. He did not want to become bald Nezu, never again. Izuku looked at Nezu for a moment before he glanced at Eri and his mom. His thoughtful expression showed that he was thinking. I'll go, on 2 conditions. Izuku raised 2 of his fingers, making a peace sign as Nezu tilted his head. Oh. Let me hear them then. He clapped. Izuku hummed, remembering one of the many safety precautions hero universities, and sometimes high schools, like UA has, which was to keep their students in dorms inside the UA's walls, to keep them safe from potential harm from villains or sometimes, actually, most of the times, the media. Well, Mom has to move in with me to the dorms. Even if I can act dumb at times, I know that I'm unbeatable. My quirk makes that a fact, but Mom isn't. Once my quirk is revealed to the public, I know some people will start coming after me, and once they realize they can't, they'll move to my family and friends. The boy paused to turn to his mom. And no offense, Mom. He added, only for Inko to wave him off. None taken, dear. Wait, what? Izuku, I wouldn't have a place to be in UA. Inko's expression turned from passive to startled. Nezu hummed before he nodded. Well, I was planning on finding a staff to keep the students from getting too rowdy in their dorms, especially with what happened last time. Nezu shivered, remembering the many destroyed dorms for the first-year hero course students. I suppose someone like Mrs. Midoriya will be able to handle that. Of course I will send out teachers to help, as some students would inevitably be more violent than the rest. He added. Inko adopted a thoughtful expression before she sighed. Fine, I'll accept the job, Nezu-san, she nodded, making Nezu smile and clap. Wonderful. The probable chimera exclaimed. Now for the second condition, young man? Nezu turned his gaze back to Izuku. Food, you'll supply me and Ma a lot of food. Izuku smiled. Nezu blinked. He honestly thought the next condition would be heavier, but no, this was quite simple. The rat thing laughed. Of course. I assure you, we will never have a time where there's no food in UA, and since we're the top class, we only serve the best of foods. He sighed after regaining his composure. Inko and Hisashi snickered in the background, knowing well about the massive costs that Nezu would have to deal with during Izuku's years in UA. Now is that truly all? Nezu tilted his head. The three Midoriyas looked at each other before they all shook their heads. Well, we do have to think of what we'll have to do with little Eri here though. Hisashi brought up. Izuku nodded, looking at the small girl, and by the looks of it, barely 4 years old, clinging to him as if her life depended on it. Like I was saying earlier, she just doesn't want to let go. He sighed. Trauma, most likely, is the reason. Nezu sighed, looking sympathetic as he glanced at the sleeping Eri. I believe that the young girl looks at you as her hero, the only one that would keep her safe, so of course she doesn't want to lose you. He related to the poor girl, as he had heard that she was used for Overhaul's inhumane experiments to create a drug that erases quirks. All because of the bastard being the biggest germaphobe of all time. Inko looked at her husband, who nodded and seemingly understood her thoughts. Well, you would need extra company now that our boy's going to UA, even if you would be always seeing him since you're gonna be managing the dorms. Hisashi sighed. Despite his head being that of a dragon, one could still tell that he had a grin on his face. What are you guys talking about? Izuku asked, looking genuinely confused as the two parents chuckled. It's obvious enough, honey, you're gonna have a little sister now, one that's probably gonna be very clingy. Inko chuckled, already looking at Eri with a fond look despite barely knowing her. Only if the little girl accepts, dear. Hisashi reminded with an amused chuckle. Wait, Eri, little sister? Izuku slowly digested his parents' words before he looked at Eri. For a split second, his eyes turned red with the roots of his hair melting into white before it returned to normal. Nobody noticed it. Nezu looked at the interaction with a smile. I'll leave you three alone, and I'll be looking forward to meeting you soon in UA, young man. Nezu chuckled before he got off the chair and walked to the door. And Inko, I'll contact you later for more details about your new job. Goodbye. Nezu added before he actually left, leaving the Midoriya family to chat amongst themselves. Nezu sighed, his face filled with relief as he closed the door. He felt very thankful that the boy was easily convinced to change his goal from just going to general studies and into hero class. The rat knew that there was no way the boy would survive if he chose to refuse the offer and stayed in his planned path. The boy can only choose to either be a supernova or die. Nezu thought to himself. He felt relieved that the boy didn't ask any questions about it. The government wanted control. They knew that without any control, they were nothing. Although they can be dumb at times, they know that they will inevitably find someone that they cannot have any semblance of any control over. So they thought of making a special role, supernova. The supernova is the only role that promised freedom, without any control from the government. The only rule that they have to follow is that they cannot commit any acts deemed villainous, otherwise they will be ordering every hero to kill that supernova on sight in the hopes of removing this uncontrollable force. The government will not have any control over Izuku Midoriya. Now, the current Prime Minister, Akiko Sora, wouldn't actually be wanting any control over a person, brainwashing or grooming them or any other kind of possession. The man is actually pretty nice with good morals, but he knows when to put his foot down, which made him be respected and followed by politicians. Nezu reminded himself to visit the man later this week to tell him about the boy's quirk and be granted special protection. Moving on, Nezu also knew that the Hero Public Safety Commission would have tried to get Izuku once they found out his quirk later, but thankfully the rat found the boy first, thus stopping the agency's plans to groom the child into becoming one of their agents. If Sora did agree to giving Izuku special protection, then the HPSC will have no choice but to back off from Izuku or be completely shut down. It's the least that Nezu can do for Hisashi after the Dragon Man saved him from giving up on life. The rat sighed as he traced the scar on his eyes. I truly hope that the boy sticks to being a hero and never become a villain. He muttered. He had reviewed the entire fight, and he knew the boy's potential. to either be a benevolent or a malevolent god. It's relieving to see the boy leaning more into being a benevolent one. Eri quickly accepted the offer of getting adopted into the Midoriya family after they carefully and slowly explained the whole thing of being adopted to the girl. She of course clung to Izuku immediately, always calling him White Warrior or Nika for no reason despite Izuku's constant core. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want more, hit the like button for more and check the link for the fanfic below, and goodbye.